Hello, welcome to day one of my home seller bootcamp. Thank you all for signing up. I hope that this 5-day series will give you a fun, professional, quick look at some of the process that we go through when clients contact me to get their home ready for sale. I usually do these home seller seminars, home buyer seminars, and boot camps in person, but because of COVID, we can't have large groups right now, and I thought it would be fun to do a 5-day video series instead of a 2-hour long seminar. So you will be getting some mail. I understand that mail's going a little bit slower than normal lately, but I am going to send out some information, a copy of the boot camp so that you have some reference notes, and then I'll send out some additional information, my home seller success guide, so that you have that. But let's get into day one. What you can expect from these 5 days will be about 10-15 minutes worth of tips that kind of lay out the process that I go through on a consultation with clients, getting their home from the point where I first walk through it till the point that we get it listed, to the point when we accept offers, and then get to closing. So this should be pretty seamless. And I don't usually do live videos, so excuse me for that. You can feel free to message me back about questions also. So day one, the game plan. I am going to look back at my notes for a little while from time to time. But anyway, it's very, very important, especially in this type of market, that you have a game plan. And that should start early. I would say my favorite type of clients are the clients that I get to meet with 6 to 12 months before they put their house on the market. Regularly, I meet with clients usually 3, sometimes 4 months before. But the best time to call me to come through your house is within a year of you thinking to sell. Some people ask for 2-year consultations. That's fine too. But then I can go through and I can see what kind of major projects need finishing. What kind of projects might you be thinking of doing? What does the home need to qualify for the most loan types here in the North Quabbin? That's how I can help maximize the amount of equity that you can get out of your home. So number one, at least 3 months before you put your house on the market, give me a call, have me come through the property. What that will look like will be about a 45-minute to hour-long appointment where you sit down, ask me questions, I ask you some questions. The things I'm going to want to know about from that first initial meeting are, why are you planning to move? Do you have a game plan in place as to where you're going to go? What do you love about your home? You've lived in your house for the last year, 5 years, 15 years. I have sellers right now that have lived in their house for 38 years. Tell me why you bought it. Tell me the parts of your house that you absolutely love, the things about the area that attracted you to purchasing that home. I also want to go through your house and see everything. I want to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the whole house, top to bottom. For me as a professional, basements are the most important part of the house. The foundation, if you have a good foundation, then anything's possible with your home. We'll look at the condition and we'll talk about loan types. I think it's extremely important for you to meet with a real estate professional that's knowledgeable on what loan trends are and what the mortgage ability of your house is. We want to maximize the pool of buyers that we have to look at your home. And that means that we want to see if it can qualify for VA, FHA, USDA loans, and conventional loans, of course. But that will help bring you the highest amount of traffic through the door. So I'll advise you if you need handrails, if there's holes in your walls or different safety items that would get flagged on an appraisal. That's one of the things that I pride myself on, is really making sure that you have the most exposure to your property without over improving it. We'll go over the loan types. We'll talk about that more in depth as to why that's important. As I said, I want to know everything that you love about your house so that I can help pass that along to the future owners. We'll talk about things, how the transaction will go. I'll give you some tips on staging, and module 2 of this is different things you can do to your home before I come through to kind of make it the most appealing to everyone. The other thing that we'll talk about is pre-sale home inspections and also some outstanding homeowners insurance claims. A lot of agents might not discuss this with you, but I've heard over and over again for the last several years from my clients that it's a stressful process. And so I've been working on ways to kind of dissipate that stress. And one of the things I found that works good is a pre-sale home inspection. So you would have a home inspector come through, and they wouldn't do a full home inspection, but they would come in and kind of look over the key parts of your house so there aren't any surprises. Most of my clients don't do this, but if you're a person that is worried about the process, I would recommend that, and we can discuss what that looks like. I'm also going to ask you if you've ever had any home insurance claims on your house, because this is something that's been coming up more regularly. Consumers will have a homeowner's insurance claim, and if they haven't filed it and finalized it properly with their homeowner's company, their insurance company, then it could come up at the time when the house gets sold. Another thing that I'll do is we'll talk about the registry of deeds, and we'll go through and we'll look to see what I can tell you as a real estate professional, and if I feel that we need to get an attorney involved to find a missing discharge or to make sure that all of your documentation looks correct on there. I love it when my clients ask me questions. I think that it's really important for us to work together as a team throughout this process and to understand that this is the biggest investment that your family has. So it's extremely important to make sure that it's marketed properly from day one. And when we can get a consultation 6 to 12 months out, that really helps you as the homeowner understand what the current marketing trends are, and it helps us make it so that day one when your house goes on the market, everything looks the right way. Consumers these days, even before COVID, were shopping for houses online before they'd ever walk through. It's much different than it was years ago. And so here at Hometown Realtors, we stress to our clients, for us to maximize the potential in your sale, your house has to look perfect from day one, from the day that that house goes on the market. So I don't want to rush this process, because I want to get you as much money as I can for the home. And by doing that, it means I give you the most exposure possible that's out there in the marketplace. We're going to create a pre-listing action plan. So I will give you a list of to-dos to make sure that I set you up for success. Once you put your house on the market, you're going to get an offer relatively quickly in this type of climate that we have out with buyers right now. And it's really important that you have your ducks in a row, because if you enter into a contract that has a 45-day closing period, those 5 to 6 weeks go extremely fast. And like I said before, my number one goal is to have this process be as easy and stress-free as possible for you. We have to know where you're going. There needs to be a solid plan in place so that you don't get displaced and your things don't get displaced, because that does happen. So we'll talk about your time frame. We'll talk about a pre-listing action plan, and we'll just kind of go over what final things need to be done to make sure that you maximize the amount of consumers that we can get through the door the day that we put your house on the market. We get a lot of questions from people that say, I just want to put my house on the market. I don't want to do any work to it. Okay, that's fine. But you as the home seller need to know that that could limit the amount of offers that you get, the amount of foot traffic that you get through the house, which will then, lead to maybe not as many multiple offers or highest offer that you could possibly get. If you have a septic system, we'll arrange to make sure that that Title V test here in Massachusetts is done ahead of time. Some homeowners would prefer to wait until they have the offer, but here's the thing. Once you have an offer, you've already negotiated your price and your timeline. If you go through, even on a 5-year-old house, you can have Title V problems. And then you don't know what your bottom line is. And as if you're going somewhere else or you're purchasing another home, it's extremely important to know how much equity you're pulling out of your house so that you know how much you can put down on your next house. Or if you're moving out of state, you know how much money you have to leave the state with. Plus, Title V's are really time consuming to fix. So if you need a whole new system, you're going to need a perk test, and that could be 2 or 3 months out between septic design and getting the system in, having a board of health involved that will have to review that. So after you've entered into a contract with a buyer, if you turn around and get a failed Title V system, you might not be able to meet the deadline that's in that initial consultation. If you have well water, we'll talk about if you've ever had a water test done, maybe doing that beforehand. If you have had a radon test done, I'm going to ask you when you purchased your home if you had a home inspection, and if when you had that home inspection, if you did the repairs that were on there. Because you don't want to be in a situation where the buyers come back and ask for a bunch of repairs, or the home inspector finds something major with the house, and then you're kind of left in limbo figuring out what steps go next, or we have to renegotiate. Things I like to know on my initial consultation with you, other than where you're going and what you love about the house, I'd love it if you had a list of upgrades that you've done to your house. I'd like to know if you were going to stay, what are the next things that you would do to upgrade your house? We'll look at your lot lines and make sure that they match up with your deed and your tax map that's there, or if you've had a survey done on the house. And then even if you're looking, 6 to 12 months out, what I'll do is I'll update you if I see major market shifts. I have several clients right now that I'm meeting with that, they might want to sell in a year or two. So I'm kind of giving them market updates as they come, in case we see a giant flex in the market, which definitely could happen if the interest rates start to go up a little bit. Let's see what else. So over the course of the next several days, the other things that we're going to be talking about are we're going to talk about staging. We're going to talk about cleaning things out. We're going to talk about what it takes to make sure that your house looks picture perfect on day one, and what's going to happen 2 weeks before you put your house on the market so that I can make sure that you get the most exposure possible. And then we'll talk about how to have successful showings, what that process would look like, what type of offer should you accept if you have multiple offers, and then how the transaction goes from start to finish to the closing table. So stay tuned for day 2. You can feel free to email me any questions that you have, and I'd be happy to go over them over the course of the remaining 4 days, or email you separately on them. And I look forward to starting this process and journey with you. Have a great day.